Traditional gardens that are based on the traditional Korean view of nature can be witnessed at Chamsongdan, or the altar of star worship located at Mount Mani. The altar was built where Dan-kun, the heavenly sun, descended upon the earth to proclaim his nation. Here, one can see the results of the worship of and love that the people feel towards nature. Simplicity and cleanliness have been primary in maintaining the area surrounding the altar, and a wall has been constructed to enclose this holy area. Outside the wall, trees have been planted to make a forest, which is called Divine Forest. This divine forest was protected by the state as a holy place of worship, and its tradition has been carried over to the palace garden during the era of the Three Kingdoms. During the Three Kingdom era, the palace gardens were based on Taoistic influences, which held nature as the final ideal. The people of this era constructed the pond and the artificial hills and bred and grew rare and exotic flowers and birds. Anapchi, or the pond of the East Palace of the unified Shilla Kingdom, has 3 islands and 12 mountaintops where the Taoist gods were supposed to live. The construction of the garden has been influenced heavily by Taoism, especially in the curving contours of the lake embankment. One interesting technique was a hydrographic method of filling the pond with clean water by filtering out sand and other debris. By such water landscape techniques, one was able to provide a most pleasurable atmosphere for the king and his guests, where they could float wine vessels upon the water and recite poetry. Such ideals based on Taoism also made their mark during the Koryo and Chosun dynasties, manifesting themselves in the form of natural realism. This is known as Korean Feng Shui, or geomancy. In simple terms, geomancy is a philosophy that states that the spirit of nature has a deep and intricate relationship with good and bad, and also with the prosperity and failure of human beings. There are 2 model gardens that epitomize the philosophy of geomancy. One is the palace garden of the Koryo dynasty in North Korea, and the other is the palace garden of the Chosun dynasty in Seoul. Gyeongbok Palace has behind it the Bukkak Mountain as the source of protection, and the mountain range extends to the right and left of the palace. All palace buildings are found on either side of the north-south axis of the mountain. Generally, the palace garden has 2 separate spaces. Firstly, it serves an official function, for example, as a place to receive foreign emissaries, and it serves a private function as a place for taking walks or as a place to rest. A congenial atmosphere was created by constructing artificial hills in secluded private areas or by carving out long images of animals in the chimneys and garden walls which symbolize longevity. There is a secluded palace called Cheongdeok where kings received scholarly and moral training. The Piwan, or secret garden, located here, was built to a much larger scale than the main palace, and many ponds, flower paddies, river streams, pavilions, etc. have been arranged and positioned. The ponds, which were thought to find harmony with the surroundings, were normally created in rectangular form. The creators endeavored to harmonize the yin with the yang by building round islands in the pond. This pavilion, with its two pillars suspended into the water, seeks to harmonize heaven, earth, and man. The pond vividly attempts to reflect traditional thought applied to Korean gardens. It attempts to harmonize heaven, earth, and man by symbolism. Heaven is the island in the pond, earth is the surrounding land, and man is the pavilion. The natural stream has been diverted onto a rock plate to create a meandering stream which eventually opens out into a waterfall. Poets observed such beauty by composing poems that state, "Flying stream tumbles down the waterfall 300 chok, and all the valleys are filled with much lightning and thunder." Such sentiments exemplify the taste that the traditional gardens of Korea provoke. Naksunche is the place where a bereaved queen lived. Here, the flower terrace in the backyard was built along the contours of the garden. Planted here were all varieties of flowers, and dotted everywhere were curious-looking stones and stone ponds. A pavilion was also built outside the terrace such that it created a wider view that could be appreciated from the rear garden located far away.